Hey guys, and welcome to this video on the North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. I'm Cassandra, the Saffron Sage, helping you use astrology to evolve. And in this video, we're going to talk about the South Node in Sagittarius, North Node in Gemini. So the North Node in Gemini is here to learn how to communicate in a way that people understand. It's all about information, knowing the right thing and saying it at the right time. So in order to fully understand this North Node, we're going to start by talking about your past life with your South Node in Sagittarius. We'll talk about what those patterns mean and then the lessons you're here to learn with your North Node in Gemini. So the past life for the person with the South Node in Sagittarius was being a religious fanatic or being like a monk, having a nomadic lifestyle where you went off on your own in quest for the personal truth, righteousness, and the right answers. You wanted to learn and absorb all of the spiritual information. You were probably obsessed with how you perceived things, and you wanted to continue gaining knowledge of the right truth, the right answers, that right next level spiritual information. So how that shows up in this life, guys, the South Node is our challenges, okay? It's our comfort zone that we revert back to because we mastered it in past lives, so it feels comfortable. So your comfort zone based on your North Node being in Gemini means you are going to probably focus a little bit too much on being right. You are going to be overly concerned with how people receive the information you say, whether people understand you. You might have this really, really strong, almost urgent feeling of needing to be understood by other people. You may also have some problems with how people perceive you, how people receive your communication. The more you find people being defensive when you speak, the more you know you are sucked into your South Node. But the good news is there's a solution, so we'll talk about that later in the video. Other ways the South Node shows up is by not wanting to communicate, because in past lives you withdrew, right? You withdrew and left your relationships to, go on this quest for meaning in life. So when you're reverting back to that comfort zone, you're going to do the same thing. So some of the challenges with this placement might be that you resist the mundane conversations in life. You resist things like small talk. You think it's beneath you. You feel like the way people communicate is beneath you. People don't seem to understand you. The more you relate to this, the more sucked into your South Node you are. So in a past life, it was like a preacher, okay? So what happens is when you bring that energy into this life and you try to preach, and that can show up in many ways, right? It can show up as, telling everyone how you feel about things when they're just not really in the mood to hear that. It can show up as when you're talking, to keep talking and talking and talking because that silence gets uncomfortable. And so you just feel like you need to fill it up with something. So we're going to talk now more about the challenges of the South Node placement. One, you might feel misunderstood all the time. People might get defensive when you talk to them because they are responding to that South Node preachy, almost righteous energy that you can carry with you into this life. You can not only be misunderstood, you can unintentionally make people feel wrong. And that's what, spikes their defensiveness. So the way to remedy this is to validate the way other people feel. You may also find yourself assuming people know how you feel or having a hard time explaining your position, why you feel a certain way, or just shut down communication-wise when a challenge happens. It might not be natural for you to talk it out. You might revert back to that South Node of isolating and trying to ponder and find your spiritual solution. But that's not right for you in this life. And the more you engage in that, the more you're going to be sucked into that South Node. If someone asks you about an area of life where you're not comfortable or not confident, you might naturally avoid that conversation. You just might not feel comfortable having conversations about areas of life where you don't know the next step, you don't know the right answer. And so you could either resist those conversations or avoid them, but you can also Avoid everyone when you're going through something because you don't want to take a chance that they're going to ask you how you're doing. So the problem here is that the other people in your life don't know why, and they interpret that avoidance as not interested. And this can put a lot of strain on your relationships. It can be really hard for the North Node in Gemini to keep intimate relationships because of the back and forth communication that it requires. So let's talk about your North Node in Gemini, what you can do to embody this energy and continue moving toward it. First of all, it is right for you to understand how others think. Remember, because this is your North Node, it's not going to be comfortable for you. So if you're like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do, then it probably really is your North Node. But know that when you embrace these qualities or these behaviors, life opens up. The universe just kind of rewards you because this is what you came to learn. Also remember, you could spend lifetimes mastering one North Node placement. So don't expect to get this right overnight. So another thing you can do to focus on your North Node is to really try to meet people where they're at. Really try to understand the person that you're talking to. Just hold this awareness of what you think they need to or are ready to hear. Just shifting your focus in a conversation from what you need to say to what they need to hear can work wonders for a Gemini North Node. And if you are watching this and you're thinking, I already know these things, then that's great. That just means you're on track. So the more of these boxes you can check, the more on track you are for learning and embodying your North Node placement. Again, it is right for you to validate other people. This can actually be a good remedy for the North Node Gemini person if you are finding people get defensive. So this is the best way you can tell, am I in my North Node or my South Node with the North Node in Gemini is, do people seem to understand and hear what I have to say? Or do people seem to get defensive when I speak? So you can just kind of measure where you're at in any moment by that. And if you notice people are getting defensive, you can take a step back and ask yourself if you are considering where they're coming from. Are you validating their point of view? Are you letting it be okay that they think the way they think? This is a real challenge for the North Node in Gemini, to let it be okay that someone else has a different opinion than you do. So what happens here is because you have your South Node in the sign of Sagittarius, which is big picture thinking, sometimes this can show up as being so focused on the big picture that you don't see that thing in front of you that really needs to be addressed. Now this can show up in many different ways, but to keep it short here, it's focusing on a long-term strategy instead of a short-term strategy. There's almost an element of escapism here, of escaping into some long, far-off dream instead of just doing that next indicated step. You are here to be in relationship with people. You may have many different connections with people over the course of your life, and they may be shorter. You may have connections that are more superficial, and it's okay. It's right for you to make connections with people that you might not ever see again. It's right for you to create relationships with people that aren't infused with layers and layers and layers of meaning. But because your South Node is in Sagittarius, you might feel like if something doesn't have a bunch of meaning, then it's useless. This is a South Node bad habit of yours to release, so you can meet people where they're at and talk about the weather and talk about the news and have short bursts of communication, because Gemini rules short bursts of communication. Sagittarius rules long, drawn out talks. And so it's right for you to, bam, get concise with how you speak. Get specific. Only give the person the next little step that they need. Only say to that person what they're asking you for. So I think of the expression of, you ask that person for the time and they'll build you a clock. So your job as the North Node in Gemini is to notice where you are doing that. Notice where you are giving someone this whole long backstory of, oh, I did this because of this. And you might naturally want to defend your position. You might naturally want to tell people why you think the way you think. All the reasons for something, all the deeper meaning for something, when they just need to know that next indicated thing. The gifts of the North Node in Gemini are writing and teaching, communicating, speaking. You can be wonderful writers, powerful speakers, and you are here to communicate. You are here to deliver information. You are just here to chop that information up to the pieces that are the right size for your audience or the person that you're talking to. Another thing the North Node in Gemini really needs is freedom. It is right for you to allow yourself to have the freedom to think what you think and believe what you want to believe. Another thing for the North Node in Gemini to remember is that if someone reacts negatively to something you have said, it is maybe not what you said that bothered them as much as the way that you said it. So delivery of information is a huge thing to work on for the North Node in Gemini. So just know that just because somebody doesn't like something you said, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean what you said was wrong. It's a time to take a look at how could I have delivered that information in a way that is more helpful to the person that I was talking to. And overall, again, you guys, one of the biggest challenges here for this North Node is to feel like what you have to say is so important, to place so much importance on being heard and being understood. And the thing is, you are here to be heard. You are here to be understood, and what you have to say is important. But the ironic thing is when you feel that way, when you feel like, oh my God, what I have to say is so important going into a conversation, this is almost guaranteeing that it's not going to work out well for you. So it's about honoring and knowing that yes, you are here to speak, you are here to share wisdom and facts and information that other people can use, but that how you say it matters almost more sometimes for the North Node in Gemini than what you are even saying. All right, so just to recap, for the North Node in Gemini, you are here to communicate, you are here to deliver information, but how you deliver that information matters. Things to let go of are things like trying to be right all the time, being obsessed with the meaning of life, withdrawing from others anytime you have a communication conflict, leaving behind that desire to always be perfect or to never not know what you're doing. You are here to communicate, to hear other people, to listen as much as you speak, and to share your information, your facts, your knowledge, your truth in a way that is really taking into account who you're talking to, how it can benefit them, and only delivering the information that that person needs to hear. You're here to ask questions, to understand how other people think, to enlighten people. You are here to use non-threatening communication skills in your interactions with other people. You are here to be connected to many different people, sometimes on a superficial level, and you are here to accept that not everything in life has to have a deeper meaning. So I hope this video was helpful, you guys. Remember, whenever it's your North and South Node, these are lifetimes of patterns, so don't be too hard on yourself and just keep working toward that North Node energy. It can be really magical what happens when you align your life to your North Node. So that's all I have for you guys today. Comment below, subscribe, hit that like button and the bell if you want to see more videos like this. And be sure to join my Facebook group, Astrology and Alchemy, where I go live on the energy every week. You can also book a private reading with me by clicking the link below. We can look at your North Node, aspects to your North Node, and really help you find out what you're meant for based on your astrology. And as always, thank you for all of your comments, your support, your feedback, everything you guys do, and I will see you all in the next video.